I lost Randall on the video.
Oh. Yeah, your
only have
audio
John.
like slowed down for me, but you're still there.
My audio?
Yeah.
Like slowed down to
I mean, like when you said,
like it was just doing like a glitchy thing.
Yeah, like someone turned the sample rate down and you could hear each one of those bits.
Yeah. I got Randall back now, so
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there for a sec, but
It's all right.
man, I got to figure out. I bet you it's something with my internet, but
My doofy dog Charlie was walking through.
I saw, and that was the best.
I saw. It's so cute.
It was so good. He just walked right in.
He's looking for Mama. He's deaf, so he can't hear, so he has to just move around and look for.
He wasn't doing no harm. He was just walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like
through.
this bouncing puppy that's going to like bark and like jump around. It was just like waddle.
Yeah.
Old Charlie.
Cute.
So cute.
He's a good boy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pursuing Pixels. My name's Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with Randall Nolery
Hey, folks.
and John Hines.
Hey there.
And we are back, as always, to talk about some video games. And that is what we do, folks.
That's what we do.
And,
That's what
I was
we do.
trying to come
I'm
up with
breaking up the
another
folks.
word for folks or everybody just to keep this streak alive, but I was like, nope, can't think of one fast enough.
Oh, man. That
I did a
was
little
slick. That
pre-planning.
was slick.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, John, why don't we just get kind of warmed up here and toss the ball over to you? Because I know you actually had a pretty long session the other night with DJ playing some Apex Legends online.
I did.
I was trying to sync up with you guys, but my download on my Xbox was anywhere between, at some points I saw it at about 2.5 hours remaining, but it got up to 11.5 too.
Ooh.
So I was just like, I think I'm having some internet issues, maybe another time. So I haven't really had a chance to dip my toe in, but I know, you have kind of been treading water for the first time.
Yeah. We started playing, I think, at around 5 and ended playing at around, like, we took a break for dinner and stuff, but I think we ended playing around 10 or so, and we're like,
Nice.
yeah, your download will be done by then, I think, at some point during this, and you'll be able to hop in, but we were duos the entire time for that DJ and I were playing, but...
Yeah, but that's promising that you guys, played so long, yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. Like, we were chatting over Discord, which was nice, but I had played a little bit before I synced up with DJ, just by, doing the tutorial mode that they have there. If anyone hasn't played, one of the many offerings of these types of shooters, the Battle Royale, mechanic or setup.
Right.
And it, gives you the rundown and the mechanics, and that was nice, but, nothing too special. Honestly, I think if we're talking about Respawn games, like the Titanfall 2 demo, I think was really, really good as opposed to this one.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not going to fault them over a demo presentation or a tutorial presentation. But yeah, I played a couple rounds and knew absolutely nothing. Basically worse than nothing, because I was more concerned about getting the inverted y-axis and getting the sensitivity down on my reticle than actually paying attention to the differences between guns or ammos or shields or any of the things that might actually help me when playing the game. So
I love that when you put in the Discord, it turns out the ammo is color coded.
Yeah, for a reason.
Yeah.
That's great.
So yeah, even though I did manage to get a win with on one of the streams I was playing it while you guys were playing Wild Guns.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, I did get one, and I think I was competent enough. I think I got maybe a kill during it. But that was more just the random luck of the game and the loadout and where we landed or whatnot.
Sure.
But yeah, once I synced up with DJ and, he was telling me basic mechanics of the game to play, that was a much more enjoyable experience. And again, if I'm in a match where we die instantly, I don't have the whole like that's something that we can like have fun with and like talk about,
Right.
as opposed to, oh yeah, did I just like disappoint these two strangers, like make them really upset?
Yeah, here come the
Right,
insults.
right.
Yeah. I think that for the time being, this game is mostly going to be just a game that I play with friends, because
Yeah.
I don't really have that same drive or like competitiveness to just play with a bunch of strangers. And like, I'm not very good at this game, and I like being in a tense situation with a friend that, like, you know, we can both have fun over the fact that we're stressed out together.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And like for me, like I feel like it would be like it wouldn't be the same type of kind of relaxing that I get, even though Rocket League can get super intense, and I do play competitive usually when I play, but it's still kind of like this mindless game that I can relax and zone out, where like I feel like you really got to be hyper aware and active and potentially communicating if you are playing with friends. But even if I was just playing solo, thrown on a podcast, like, you know, you got to be in the zone on those games, and you're not always in that mood. So I see that for sure.
Well, yeah, because Apex is class-based that way too, right? So you have a role to play on your team for your team to be successful. It's a different story.
Right.
Very much.
And a very small team at that. So like if you're not contributing, everyone's going to know it.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Well, yeah, John, I know you mentioned streaming real quick when you jumped on when Randall and I were playing some Wild Guns, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out. And I think I even mentioned when I was talking about that Aztec ride Quetzalcoatl a couple weeks ago that would be a fun game, or last week, I think, but that would be a fun game for streaming. And I actually did end up streaming a little bit of that after I streamed this game called Spinch. That I remember seeing, it caught my eye on like the eShop. It's just got tons of like really bright rainbow colors all over the place, like really kind of trippy, you know, almost like Adult Swim cartoon kind of looking, you know, Adventure Time style almost, but like it's this really simplistic 2D platformer in spite of its like really zany visuals, in the sense that you just have a jump button and then no double jump or anything. You can wall jump though, and then you have like a dash, which you can do like not like Celeste style. It's more like a dash, like on the ground. You just like pick up a little bit of speed, like sprinting, not like hold it down Mario style, but like just hit it to pick up a little speed. But you can also do it mid-air. And then I haven't quite figured it out, but like you can sometimes kind of do it like you can jump, do a dash, and then like maybe it's like a cooldown timer or something, and then you can jump again before you land. So like there are times where I'm able to like kind of do like an extra jump in the air, but maybe I'm just like cheesing the buttons and getting lucky or something, because it is like frantic even after the first few levels, and it's really, really cool. It just throws you right into the mix. And it's mostly just like avoid all the, you know, enemies. It's like very just obstacle course based, but there's like timers up at the top, shows your best time. There's like 3 little, I don't know if they're your children or just little buddies that you got to rescue on each level.
Nice.
And then those will be like your ammo for the boss fight.
Oh.
And they just kind of incorporate those into like different ways. Like you just kind of like have like a gun that you have to jump on like the triggers for, and like the reload button to like shoot the boss.
So you have to collect
like
all of them in order to be able to fight the boss in that case, I'm assuming, right?
I'm kind of wondering how that works. Yeah. I mean, some of them are kind of on your path. So, I mean, it would definitely be much harder to fight the bosses without collecting all of them. Although I haven't got everyone. Like I would say, like there's usually, it seems like there's like 6 worlds in the game, 5 or 6 levels each with like a bonus level, 1 or 2 bonus levels, which are like kind of like that Timon and Pumbaa bonus level in the Lion King Super Nintendo Genesis games, except it doesn't end as soon as you miss the very first bug, and you're just like, oh well, so I don't even know how to play that mini game. This is like you actually just have to catch a certain percentage of them, and they're just like, it's like this little egg creature that you have to rescue in the level instead of your little children or whatever. And then those are your cousins, and then they throw those, and you got to catch them. And they literally, if you don't catch them, they hit the ground and splatter like eggs. It's just a really wacky game. And it looks like they're throwing new mechanics in. Like I've seen some clips where you're like running up on the ceilings and stuff like that. So they're definitely going to throw some new like obstacles into the mix. But man, I was really having a good time. And yeah, I'd made like a video of like the opening, like maybe 20, 30 minutes. And then I was like, man, this is really fun. I'm going to stream some of this, and played for probably another like 2 hours almost.
Nice.
And really had a fun time. There were a few folks hanging out in the chat for that one. It was a pretty good time.
Nice.
So I just wanted to kind of give a shout out. If you like kind of precision, fast paced platformers, Spinch is, I would even say highly recommended. It's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. But Randall, I know you have been spending some time in with that NES, that analog NT Mini. What have you been playing lately?
Another week, another homebrew retro game. This week I'm talking about Doodle World. This is Doodle World, came out last year in 2020 on NES. Another one where I just went ahead and bought the cartridge because the developer Nate Peters, who I follow on Twitter, said more cartridges were available, so I jumped on it. So I'm glad I did. It's a side-scrolling platformer, so I know Pursuing Pixels loves some good wholesomeness, and this game is nothing but pure wholesomeness, I would say. The big conceit of this is it's designed basically by this guy's daughter. Did all of the art direction and general theming of the game. So like he took all of her concept art and design ideas and then made an NES game out of it, and that was Doodle World. So it's just a really cool thing. And you can tell like all the art direction is all based on like a lot of erasers or art supplies, or like you collect crayons. That's your like instead of coins in Mario, you're collecting little crayons that are all through the levels and stuff, and 100 crayons gets you a 1-up. And like the enemies are pencils and you don't want to jump on top of them, but if you get the invincibility crayon you can run into them, and like it's a lot of fun. Like the level design is all looks like it's drawn on like lined paper essentially.
Yeah, I've seen some clips. I remember like this catching my eye at some point and thinking this looks pretty cool, and I didn't even realize it was like an NES game. I just thought it was just some game somebody was working on.
Yeah, it's really colorful and vibrant. It really like pops out for being an NES game. And this is a game that, I ended up beating in, 30, 45 minutes, but not the first try. I'll say that. It took me a few tries, but it's a really fun kind of laid back, for the most part, experience that you kind of let, you kind of absorb it, and the soundtrack's great. It's really like poppy, fun soundtrack to it. The bosses at the end of the world, so there's 15 levels across 5 worlds. At the end of each world, there's these eraser bosses. One's like a lumberjack, one's King Eraser at the end, so, which took me a while to beat King Eraser, I'll say that. Because even though it's a little bit on the, less difficult side, it's still one-hit kills. So you got to be
even
careful.
On the bosses?
Well, yeah.
Okay. And what type of, are they like Mario style bosses? Like you're just jumping on their heads sort of things? Or
you jump on their
deal
heads.
Here?
Yeah, look, you're generally avoiding projectiles from these bosses and jumping on their heads. The bosses definitely don't take one hit, though. They take multiple hits.
Okay.
But you take one hit and you're trying over again. Thankfully, there's kind of like invisible checkpoints through the stages, so it's not like you have to replay the whole stage in that case. But yeah, it's just super cute. It's super fun. Like I said, the enemies are like thumbtacks and scissors, and there's like a caterpillar that's a ruler that's like crawling across the ground, like all kinds of things like this. It's just like there's so much love and like cuteness put into this experience that like I'm like, oh, I have to own this. I have to play it. There's a kids mode, which is really cool. So there's normal mode and kids mode. So like when Fiona, my daughter, gets older, this is a game that I could put her in front of, and it's only got like a handful of levels, and some of the harder enemies don't appear in that mode.
Nice.
So like
a
little bit more capable, and the bosses take a lot less hits. So like even when I was learning the game, I'm like, let me play the kids mode first. Why not? Let's see what that's about.
Yeah.
So just really cool. Basically 2 different versions of the game are on this one NES cartridge. So yeah, it's a really fun thing. Like there's a couple of little bugs. Like sometimes there's some of the collectible crayons that I couldn't pick up. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but in general, very well made, well polished. Had a great time with this one. Really, really glad that I own it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it just feels really cool to like support this like sometimes like it's like, oh, I really feel cool supporting this like one solo indie dev, but this is like I feel really cool supporting this like dad and his kid making a game together. Like how cool is that?
I know. They had a successful Kickstarter within like 12 hours. I didn't get a chance to back that, but like stuff like that's super cool, and I think that it goes a long way that way. The other thing I wanted to mention is the bonus levels. are a lot of fun too. They're just like collect all the crayons, in this, single screen level. And it's very similar to like a Donkey Kong Country type of bonus level that way where you're collecting the bananas and that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's good. I had a lot of fun with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, since we're talking a little homebrew, you kind of wet my whistle with like talking all this homebrew stuff lately, Randall.
Yeah.
And I ended up checking out. There was a game I actually checked out recently. I made a video for it, so I won't go too into it. Although I have videos for most of the games I talk about.
Yeah,
but
you do.
I checked out this game called Mr. Rescue from Tangram Games, which is like this side-scrolling arcade firefighting game, which is really cool and really just kind of wacky. It's got kind of slippery controls, and you just like blast out the windows with your fire hose and grab the people in the building and chuck them out the window to rescue them, and that is the game pretty much. And it's just like you're just trying not to burn up. But I ended up catching this game called Tobu Tobu Girl, and then they actually have then gone on to like make a new version of it called Tobu Tobu Girl Deluxe, which is kind of like the DX, Game Boy Color version.
Yes.
And it is a homebrew Game Boy game, but yeah, in this case, it's a Game Boy Color game.
Yes.
And it's very arcadey and arcadey in the best sense. I love my arcadey style games, and it's like a platformer, and it kind of is similar to not Doodle World, but Doodle Jump. Do you guys remember that game? It's like a mobile game where you just like move side to side and you're just bouncing off.
Little green guy, and you're just bouncing vertically.
Yeah, it almost looks like the little android guy. And you just bounce off of like enemies. And this is like exactly how this game works. You're like scrolling up on different levels, and you just, it's really bright and colorful. It's got that great Game Boy Color aesthetic that we were talking about before we even started recording the episode. Man, love that Game Boy Color aesthetic. And you're basically just bouncing up, and the screen will continue, not scroll up automatically, but as you scroll up, it will scroll up, and then you can't fall off the bottom of the screen. So kind of like Kid Icarus style, or I don't know. I know there's a ton of other games that do that.
Yeah.
But basically, not only do you have a mid-air dash, you actually have a mid-air triple dash that you can dash in one of 8 directions. So you got a triple octo-directional dash.
Jeez.
And then you also, I thought it was a jetpack, but you're actually just like flapping your arms, apparently, and kind of flying. But you also have like an energy meter that is like beneath your kind of like main like level progression, and you're just trying to get to like a vortex like portal at the top of each level. So like the first level is the plains, and they just throw new enemies into the mix. So if you use any of your energy to flap or jetpack or whatever you want to call it, if you do a downward dash into an enemy, it will kill that enemy, so you can't keep bouncing off of it, but it will recharge your energy meter a little bit. So like that's kind of what you're juggling. It's all that risk reward. After you beat a level, it gives you like a ranking. Like I got a C ranking on the 3 levels that I beat. I would guess there's either 4 or 5 levels. I'm not 100% sure. And the only thing that could make this game better for me personally is like if there's an endless mode or something like that, where like either how high can you get or how good of a combo can you get? Although I guess there's not really a combo meter per se, but it's just really, really fun. There are some enemies, like on the 3rd level, there are some of the enemies where they'll disappear when you land on them, or you'll kill them when you land on them, whether you dash downward or not. So like they just kind of throw new things into the mix. There'll be spikes as well. So like just new stuff to avoid, but really expressive controls. Just feels really great. Really, really great music. Like, fantastic music. So yeah, just really, really cool stuff. I'm pretty, new to this homebrew scene, and I got some emulator stuff set up on my computer finally to actually try to run some of these, because I don't have all the fancy stuff like Randall with the actual like hardware to play these homebrew games.
Yeah.
But I decided, I didn't want to fully miss out on this stuff, so I figured I should check them out. And I was really excited, and I'm excited to look into the NES and Game Boy world, because it looks like there's a pretty big Game Boy homebrew scene too.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of been growing over time.
Yeah, more recently I see a lot of like even games that are just like, well, there's even those like I think we've mentioned it a few times on the podcast, like the GB jams or the Game Boy jams. Like that is very much a thing and an aesthetic that people are going for.
Love it.
And I think we're all pretty into that. Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, John, I know that you and I have talked PICO-8 on the podcast a number of times, which is a kind of little retro fantasy console, just for a quick refresher if you're unfamiliar. But we checked out a game recently called The Lost Knight, and I think I might have brought this one to our attention, but you, I think, dove into it before I did, because I know you have mentioned a few times, like, man, I just want an RPG on the PICO-8, and I was like, this one caught my eye because the color palette's just really striking. It's got this really soft, just kind of, I don't know, it's just got a really great striking style, and I was like, this might be up our alley, or up your alley here, John. So what did you think of that? I know both of us checked this out, although neither of us finished it. It's a pretty meaty little PICO-8 game.
Huh. So yes, I have been wanting to play a PICO-8 RPG proper for basically since I got the platform itself.
The platform, yeah.
Yeah, but The Lost Knight is a game by Mario Carballo and Jovan Paul, and it is, you kind of soft pitched it to me in like by doing a little comparison to Undertale, because it has anytime that you enter into a random battle, which again, they're not random battles because you see the enemies on the screen.
Yeah, they're not random, unlike Undertale. Unlike Undertale, my friends,
all right,
they're not random, even with the restraints of PICO-8.
Anyway,
but I digress.
Yeah. But once you encounter an enemy, then it brings up this little shmup screen where you see the enemy like floating above in like a big blown out pixel, and then you have like little tiny PICO-8 square pixels versions of them floating at the bottom half of the screen where you are, and you're shooting up against them, and each time that you clear one of those smaller versions of them as they're shooting bullets down at you, like that'll do up like point of damage to them up top. And you can encounter multiple enemies at a time. So like you'll have,
and it's all like relative. The multiple enemy stuff is all relative. Like if you go up to a cluster of 3 enemies that are in the world, like you'll encounter 3. If there's 5, it'll be 5. If it's just one, like you can kind of kite them, and you get. Yeah, it's really cool how it's not like these are grouped together. Automatically, you're always going to fight these 3. It really does depend how close they are within your range. It's really cool.
And there's not really like an experience points system. It's a candy system because it takes place in this kind of Halloween town, or you're trying to get to the pumpkin tower, is it? Or the pumpkin house?
It's some kind of pumpkin watchtower.
Yeah. And you are going every time that you clear, like sometimes if you talk to an NPC, they'll give you candy. Other times you'll find candy by doing certain quest items, or doing those quests will unlock different areas in the map, and it's like clever little gatekeeping throughout the map. But as you're defeating these enemies, you're getting candy, and then you can deposit that candy in the vending machines, which will give you permanent stat upgrades, as well as like can serve as sort of save points, because if you die in the game, then you get spawned back at the most recent vending machine that you were at. And you can also heal there by spending candy. And man,
and it's really cheap to heal too. It's like 1 candy for 5 HP. So
I like that you're putting
really
candy in the vending machine.
I know, it's great. It's really good
in some cases to get more candy.
Yep. Yes, you got to spend candy to make candy.
There you go. Oh, absolutely. Don't we know it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's really, really clever, and it's also looks great. Like it's that's always the difficult thing with any PICO-8 game, is keeping enough variety in it with that really limited like pixel size and just like the amount of unique sprites that you can have in the game. So it is very small, but they keep it to also, like we were talking about, like kind of that Game Boy like palette limitation of like there's really only I think 4 or 5 or like maybe 6 colors in the entire game, but they use it really well. Like it really looks great.
Nice.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, like it's got some meat on the bones. Like I probably played like 30-40 minutes, and like I would guess I'm only maybe halfway, if that, like because I clearly saw some like other gatekeeping things that I think I saw the pumpkin watchtower in the distance, but like it's going to be a while till I can get over that way. I think I just got the ability to walk on water, which is quite okay. You haven't gotten there yet, because
you
get to one. you get to one area where it looks like there's like my first instinct was like, oh, I'm probably going to get like a plank that I can like place because there were like these bridges that had like just clearly like one spot missing in places. And like, oh, I bet you I'm going to be able to like place these, pick it up again. And I was like, nope, I just get the ability to walk on water. And again, because this is a PICO-8 game, I have that feeling like when I play an RPG, I want to talk to every character, but at the same time, I'm me and I just want to play the game and I don't want to talk to anybody. So this game was perfect in that regard because every character had exactly one dialogue box. That's it. There's no back and forth conversation. There's no talk to them again and they might say something different. It was like, talk to this person. They're going to tell you one thing and that's it. So for me, again, it was just perfect for me. And no random battles. All like kind of engaging, like not turn-based, like action-based battles. And again, when you do get like a cluster of 5 enemies, it can get pretty tough because some of the early enemies, like the ghost and stuff, and they all have great names like Gupsy and like
Spoopy,
Kunky, like all the characters have great names, the enemies, yeah. But like, the ghost, you only have to kill like 2 of the little ghosts to eliminate that enemy. But like there's some later enemies that you got to kill like 5 of them before they... and each enemy has like their own kind of pattern that they not only shoot at, but that they travel at, like kind of in the bottom box. Like it's very Undertale-esque in that regard.
Nice.
Like the little bottom box. But yeah, it's just, I really am enjoying this game and I really am looking forward to picking up where I left off. Cause yeah, it's not often that I'm like saving my progress in a PICO-8 game and then, picking it up. It's usually like, oh, that was cool. I'm done in 5 minutes. I wish there was more.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. And I did want to give a quick shout out to these same developers for a couple of games. One I'm just going to mention real quick. They made another game called Virush, which is just like this top-down arcadey, sort of procedurally generated, although it does seem like every level progression is like every level is distinct, but like the way things spawn are procedurally generated. And it's almost like a tower defense-ish game. Like I've only played a little bit of it. But I did a little like video first play of it. So I wanted to give that one a quick shout out. But the game I really wanted to give a shout out that they made was called Pullfrog. And this is like Wario's Woods meets Tetris. Where you control a little frog, platforming character at the bottom of the screen, Wario's Woods style, while Tetris blocks fall from the top of the screen.
Hopefully it's easier than Wario's Woods.
I haven't played enough Wario's Woods, but this game is definitely not easy.
Oh, okay.
But it's really cool. I would just say it takes a little getting used to. So basically, you have your frog, obviously, and you have a nice long tongue, being that you're a frog, and these dried cactus pieces that are shaped like Tetris or Tetrominoes or whatever are falling from the top that you can't move, but you can move them with your frog's tongue. So you can like jump up and grab them with your tongue. And you also have an octo-directional tongue. So you can shoot that in one of 8 directions. It might even be 360 degrees, but I'm not sure on that end. But you basically can like, even on a diagonal, you can like jump up, and grab a piece and pull it over one tile to the right or left. And once you get that finesse down, it feels really, really good. And it almost has not a roguelike progression, but every time you clear 3 lines, you get a new power up to pick from. So you get to pick either, you get to upgrade your jump, you get to upgrade your tongue, which is the length of your tongue, the height of your jump. And you can really, once you get the second upgrade of those, you're like, okay, that's a huge difference. The first one, you're kind of like, what does that upgrade do? I don't know what I just got there. Because it doesn't tell you. It's just kind of like, get this. Or you can get an eyeball, and you have to get 5 eyeballs to like beat the game, or at least to get to like, it's got like just a really great style. Like every time you die, it like keeps track of like when you lose, like it has like a little end screen and it'll have like, it's signed like with the little frog logo, and then it's like Frog the 5th or whatever, or Frog the 17th. And it's always got like a little screen. I'm sure it runs out or repeats itself eventually. But yeah, I just had so much fun playing this one. It gets really frantic. And then, so once the dried cactuses hit the ground and they turn into like regular cactuses, you can actually, if you lick them twice, you can eat them like one tile at a time.
Okay.
Or one like grid at a time, I guess.
Yeah.
So you don't have to eat the whole Tetris piece, but just like one part of it. And then if it's like connected to the wall or connected to other pieces, it might fall further. So it's just really frantic. The speed starts picking up. And yeah, once you get some of those upgrades, I found this game to just be like super engaging, like really got hooked on it. And that's actually how I kind of sort of accidentally stumbled on The Lost Night, just because I had played Pullfrog and was like, man, The Lost Night, this looks really cool from the same developer. I'll check this out. And nice. Yeah, knowing that you wanted to check out RPGs. But yeah, Pullfrog, just if you like action arcade, really, really recommend this one. It's really, really cool.
I'm into that.
Yeah. But yeah, before we close out tonight, I think we all checked out a game, one that I played not all the way through. I got stumped eventually. I don't know if any of us played all the way through.
No, I got, we all got
John,
stumped.
Okay, I was like, John, you're giving that smirk for a second. I thought maybe you played all the way through this one.
I think I tapped out on level 11, I want to say. I didn't make it very far.
Hey, that's not bad. I got to like level 23 or so.
Yeah.
Just to mention the game real quick, the game we were all checking out is called What Goes Up. And this is a really cool game from Lonebot. And the reason I kind of discovered this game was it was actually the winner of the 2018 Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam, but it's actually from the same developers that made You Are Now Possessed, which actually also won the 2020 Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam. So these folks are on fire, and I will say they have quite a team. Like I think they have like 7 or 8 folks at least that worked on You Are Now Possessed.
Wow.
I don't know exactly how many people worked on What Goes Up, but I know you checked out You Are Now Possessed as well, John. So what did you think of that before we kind of dig in a little into What Goes Up?
Oh, you were hyping this game up when you first brought it up on the podcast, and because it was made for that game jam where like the theme was control or no control or something like that.
Like out of control,
I
think
control,
was the theme, yeah.
And man, it is such a really good puzzle game. Like I just love something that is very simplistic but like has a lot of thought put into it. On like, yes, I do think it is one of those puzzle games where there might be, you know, maybe only 1 or 2 solutions to a puzzle. Like there is a correct thing that you have to reach out to, but like I think that for some of them, you know, you can maybe take a little bit longer than you have. Like there's not an automatic fail state, there's not a turn limit. But yeah, man, it was an incredibly satisfying game. I didn't beat it, but I like just kept playing levels, and it felt really satisfying to keep playing.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just such a clever concept. And just real quick, it's just kind of like a top-down puzzle game where you move and like some of your moves are chosen for you and you're kind of moving on a grid-based system. But I guess just to go right into What Goes Up, because it kind of works in a similar way, although it's a side-scrolling platformer. But the theme for this game jam, and again, same thing, it was for that Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam, but the theme was a genre without mechanics. So they went for a platformer without falling. And when you first read it, you're kind of like, I don't fully understand what they mean by that. Like you could see a platformer without jumping maybe, but like platformer without falling. But it actually, again, it almost plays like a top-down game at times, like because you're using essentially, you have your arrow keys on the keyboard, or again, I sunk it up with a controller to make it comfy for me. But like you use your arrow keys to move your character around, and then you use the WASD keys to shoot a grappling hook either up, down, left, or right.
Yep.
And then when you jump, you actually just press the up key to jump, but you will stay airborne. And your character, I love this game, has no music, but it has really great sound design.
So good.
All the little effects. Like chunky, even like your little character, like when you just start the game, like you just like he'll turn his head to the side a couple times and like sniffle. Yeah, and it's so great. And then when you're like floating in the air, your character kind of is doing this like, like 360,
tumble,
like they're in outer space or something, and they're just kind of like, whoop. Whoop, every once in a while. It's so great. And all the grappling hooks are just really nice and juicy, and like again, it just sort of plays like a top-down game, because like once you are in the air, you're kind of moving side to side, floating, and then again you're in some cases using that grappling hook to pull yourself towards things. In some cases you're using that grappling hook to pull things towards you, to access the exit to the level. And they're all like little single screen puzzle levels. But again, I got to like level 23, 24, I think, before I got stumped. And I don't think it saves your progress. It's actually a web-based game, but there's like a nice, easy way to like skip levels. So I do plan on like trying to get through to the end of this one. But man, I just thought the level design was so clever. The mechanics were so clever. Like I was kind of goading you guys, like, please check this out, somebody, or at least like watch some of this gameplay so I can bounce some of these ideas, because I just thought it was so cool. To the point where I was even chatting with some of the folks in that Dev Dwarf Discord, and I was like, has anybody played this game? And Matt Ugg, one of my favorite game designers, was like, that was the game that like made me want to make games and game maker. And I was like, I knew it. That makes sense. That makes sense. This feels like it's got that kind of level of greatness. But what did you guys think?
Man, it's well designed, like you said. The puzzles are well crafted and difficult, I would say, pretty early on, at least for me. And I mean, granted, I was playing this in like the middle of a work break, but so I didn't have a full brain to give it. I'm like, woo, boy, this is like, there's a challenge here from the beginning. And I kind of had to change my perspective, because you say platformer, which it kind of is, but it's kind of almost more like top-down puzzler, like at its core. Like that's what you're really solving there.
You know how like most RPGs will have like a sliding ice puzzle?
Yes.
Like you kind of have to be in that frame of mind where you're like, all right,
big time.
What wall do I need to hit, or what like position do I need to do? Because like, but it's only for left and right. Like very few times are you, well, I mean, once you put the grappling hook in there and they have like wooden walls which you can grapple into and like metal walls that you can't. And
right,
so good.
It is.
Yeah,
they do a lot with a pretty. I mean, the concept isn't super, crazy complicated, but boy, they do a lot with that very quickly.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. What about you, John? Did you like it as much as You Are Now Possessed? Like, were you equally impressed?
Honestly, I think I did miss that there wasn't any music in the game. Like, I do think it's really charming and I like it a lot, but I think You Are Now Possessed is kind of that like whole package where, it's like
for sure
nice tunes, like but so when you're stuck on a level, you're not, necessarily just like faced with this empty cavern of sniffling. But I do really love the level design in what goes up. I think it's, again, like their forte is just really well crafted puzzle games, and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, and I know I harp on this all the time, but again, both of these games were made for that Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam, which is a 48-hour, maybe it's 72 hours, but it's either 2 or 3 days that people put these games together. So I know we're sitting here being like, oh, I wish it had music. And that's exactly what Connor Grail said in the Discord. And he was like, I know I might be biased since I am a composer myself. But he was like, I wish it had music. But like, I was like, no, I totally agree. Because it would truly feel like a total package. There's even more levels in what goes up than there are in You Are Now Possessed. But again, like just really great pixel art, like the whole, everything about it, the animation. It's just really impressive stuff. And I love poking around on itch.io. It's so much fun. I really appreciate when you guys sync up with me on some of these.
Heck yeah.
Because they're just so fun and they're so easy to just fire up real quick. Like you said, Randall, I know it was maybe hard to get in the mental space for it at work, but like being that you can just play it in your browser.
In the browser.
Quick.
Yeah, just like that.
Both
like,
of these games.
Boom. In the browser, click on the browser so it's the active screen and then it just immediately playing on my keyboard, which how cool is that? Love it.
Yeah, and they don't require this is like the type of game, and I guess we've been able to talk about Self on the podcast recently, which is a super action, very precise input based game, and that is also able to be done in the browser. But this is like a situation with What Goes Up or You Are Now Possessed, where like even if you do maybe not have the most stable internet connection or you get a little lag, it's not going to really affect. You're not really finessing jumps or doing anything like that. So really it would be totally playable no matter really whatever your situation is. So man, just awesome stuff. But yeah, I think we can pretty much wrap up the video games talk there this week, guys. And as always, you can find us on the internet, pretty much all of our stuff at Linktree/Pursuing Pixels. But you can find the podcast homepage at pursuingpixels.com. You can find us on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff.
Yes,
but otherwise, we will catch you next week. And until then, take care.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Dude, that Tobu Tobu Girl Deluxe game is sweet.
It looks sweet. I just love the Game Boy Color aesthetic, like way too much.
Yeah, me too. It's like NES, but just like a little bit better.
Yeah, it's like
kinda.
It's like if NES had like a TurboGrafx color palette, kind of, and like with like more bold kind of scan line look to it too. Like that's what it looks like.
Or it's almost like an NES game got left out in a window for just like a little bit too long, and it got sun bleached, but like not like turned all the way blue. Just talking about Game Boy Color games in general, like the Game Boy Color aesthetic. Because to me, it's like a little bit more like they're like softer colors. You know, they're like kind of more like pastel in a way.
Yes, because they're typically like a 4-color. Like not. I mean, there were Game Boy Color games that had like, I don't know, robust color schemes, but like, I guess maybe I just played more like original Game Boy games on a Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
where like that had
because they did.
And weren't there like the kind of different levels of Game Boy Color games where like the black cartridge ones were like the just like kind of cool ones, and then like the clear cartridge ones were like, oh yeah, this is like got all the goodies.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I'm remembering like the color scheme in like Kirby Tilt and Tumble versus say like the color scheme in like Pokemon Pinball. God damn it. I wish I still had Pokemon Pinball. What a incredible game that was. God damn it.
Never got a chance to play that one, but I've heard nothing but amazing things.
I never did either, yeah. But I love almost all the digital pinball games I've ever played.
Absolutely.
It had a Rumble Pack, I think?
Yes. Yes, it did.
That's kind of standard for Nintendo handheld pinball games.
Oh, yeah.
Because even I think Metroid Prime pinball on DS came with a Rumble Pack.
It did in the Game Boy Advance slot. Yep.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
Yeah, baby. Yep. That game is awesome. Have you ever played that, John?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
it's one of the few Metroid games I haven't played.
Oh,
it's like
real
legit.
Good.
It's legit awesome.
Yeah.
Like it's very addictive.
Yes.
Kirby Pinball.
Oh, yeah.
And first party like property pinball games for Nintendo, I think are just incredible.
Money. Yeah, they're money.
Yeah, but even like even that like Demon's Tilt we've talked about on the podcast, and then Devil's Crush and Alien Crush, like they're just all good, man. Yep. I mean, there's some crap ones. Oh yeah, and you've even even the like replica or like the digital like real ones are cool.
Yeah, they're generally really well made.
Yeah. It's kind of impressive, actually.
Yeah, I love that. I really like that subgenre of games.